everybody. Welcome to Going Analog, the podcast in which an industry guest comes to talk about games and a topic they want to discuss. So with us today is James Hudson of Druid City Games. Welcome.
Thank you.
He's our old neighbor. We're so glad to have him back. And we'll talk about why he's in town. It's very exciting. And we wanted to talk about what's your topic for today, James?
Why is it difficult to make games in the U.S. versus overseas internationally?
Yes, because as the founder and head of Druid City Games, he's published lots of fantastic games that we'll talk quite a bit about. But, you know, we love, of course, Tidal Blades 1 and 2. The Wonderland's War was huge. So we have some exciting stuff coming from Druid City. So we'll talk about that. And the fun difficulties you've had in the recent past.
What? Difficulties? No, it's been easy.
So easy being a board game publisher. Yeah. And of course, with us today again is Shu. Hi, Shu.
Hello.
He was hanging off on the side trying to work on the camera the whole time. I was like, maybe we should just keep him in the corner. It'd be sort of fun.
Keep me off camera?
No, you could be there, but just hanging off the side.
Last episode, I booted myself at the last second to have John Zinsler on.
Yeah. Anyway. So we each brought a game to discuss also. So let's talk about the game Going Analog's game, Shu. What did we pick?
So our game pick for this episode is Everbloom. And this came out earlier this year. I want to say around March or so, by Nirvana Games, designed by Ian Moss. The reason I wanted to bring this up because I think this is such an underappreciated game. Like, I feel like, man, not a lot of people have been talking about it. I don't know if it's sold that well. But it's a very cool game. It's very pretty, and it's an area control game. And it's about this world where fauna and flora have kind of combined into these kind of hybrid beasts.
Yes.
So there's like, you can see on the cover, if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, it's like a lion with plants growing out of it. But it's this kind of beautiful world. And the whole idea is everyone has an asymmetrical faction with these chips, numbered 1 through 4, normally 1 through 4, one of them has a 5 chip. But you place these out in different areas, and then the number is the power and sort of amount of influence you're putting into that area. So you're competing with people because then now as you put them out to get some of these creatures into your biome, the number will determine how many little pollinators you're putting onto that card. And then whoever ends the round with the most pollinators gets to claim that card, potential bonuses. But then you have to bring those into your biome. And then there's different combinations of scoring there. Like, there's certain columns that you can unlock new ways of scoring them. And then you have to be able to pollinate them for them to produce, nectar, I think it is.
It's a very sexual game.
And then,
pollinating.
And then there's like, how much of these that you have in certain categories will score better. So there's all these different considerations. Like, I want that card, but I also need this card, but I also need to flip over this card in order for it to score. But all these systems are really simple. It's like, there's a lot going on, but it's a very easy teach. And
it's beautiful too.
Yeah,
so
and it runs elegantly, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like after 3 rounds, then the game's done, and then you just do final scoring, and then that's it. It's a very, like, I've never played a game of this that took more than an hour, even with the teach. So it runs really smoothly. But yeah, I just like that there's a lot of decisions, and even the places where you put your chips, they change round to round. So and they have different rules. So some of them might be like, you can't put a 3 chip here, or if you put a certain chip here, it'll give you an extra pollinator in a certain area. So there's all these different things of like, oh, where do I want to go? Everything's so juicy.
And I feel like it's been a while since I've played it, but there are some times where you might want to go somewhere and actually lose too, because there was a reward for like, well, if you don't win here, you at least get to
you get some of your pollinators back that you can use to help flip those cards over for the end game scoring. So there are times where you might intentionally, like, Christina really wants this card, I'm going to slip in there and lose so I could take those pollinators and use them to help pollinate the other cards. So,
it was really cool.
That's a very quick explanation because, like I said, there's a lot of systems here at work, and it would take a while to explain them all. But just in general, it's a beautiful, light enough game, but with a lot of strategy. Like I said, maybe an hour and a half play at the most, but it's an underappreciated game. So I feel like more people should be talking about this.
And I normally don't like area control. And I remember it's not a feel bad area control, which is usually my issue. So there was still like a lot of like comboing, and like I really, really enjoyed it despite it being an area control game, or maybe because of it, like the way it was done, I enjoyed it. So
yeah, cool game. Look out for it. Everbloom.
What game do you want to talk about today?
One of the games we were talking about, I think some of us all played it. I don't know if we played it together, but it was Galileo Galilei. And one, big space nerd, like we're working on space tattoos and just love all things space. And it's a gorgeous game. And it's a mid-weight, heavier-ish, probably 2 hour-ish, land. And it has a lot of great combos. And it's, like I said, it's beautiful. And there's a fun way that you move your telescope to kind of like a little bit of a rondel or Madcala more, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, it's like your actions tweak and you pick the next action and then it resets again.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of things that you're thinking about, a lot of resources that you're managing, and it works really well. It's very seamless, except for one area. and
we all know when we talked about what game you're going to talk about, we all knew what this one area is going to be.
It's the Inquisitor. And typically I love in games where there is a negative kind of aspect. So like,
he'll go for them all the time.
Yeah, in Skullport, like the expansion, right?
Corruption mechanism, things like that.
I love that because I'm like, ooh, how far can I push this and still win? Because to me, that makes a memorable moment of like, James had 17 skulls at one time. He had a negative score, but he was able to offload them.
What a legend.
Or, sometimes you just absolutely have the worst score ever recorded, which can also still be fun. But in this situation, the person teaching us the game even said, hey, this Inquisitor mechanic, like I'm going to be able to teach you the whole game. And then we're going to take special time for the Inquisitors. We're going to talk about this special, and we were all kind of like, okay, this is a lot of preamble. And we got to that point and he taught that. And we were like, I understand why you called this out. It's very difficult to grok, right?
There's like a very set sequence, but it's not intuitive about when the Inquisitors give you something bad versus if you have built up your engine to deal with Inquisitors where they go away, but the timing is very, like you have to really check it every time, right?
Yeah. Because on your personal player board in your Tableau, you've got kind of a little track that you're doing things with the Inquisitors that you collect. But then on the main board, there's another track that interacts with that. And I may or may not have listened perfectly to the explanation, but when I got to the point that I was ready to do what I thought I needed to do to deal with these Inquisitors, they're like, yeah, that's not how that works. And I was like, what? And you're just like, I'm 90 minutes into a game. I have minus 80,000 points that I'm staring down.
40 minutes in. By the way, you won. I was in that game and I just looked it up.
I did win.
So you adjusted perfectly fine.
I did.
It's very interesting. But it's hard. It was hard to know that would work out, right?
Mm-hmm. Having lived next to James for so many years, we played lots of games together back when we were all in Orange County. And then there are times where James was like, either distracted or not. Because last night we were playing 5-5. And then when we were scoring the first round, James was looking at these cards thinking they were to score one way. And like Christina's like, nope, those cards don't score. And James had this confused look on his face. And I'm like, oh, Christina, I'm like, someone wasn't listening to the scoring.
That's so James.
Mm-hmm. But to your point, I know you said this before. It's like Fight 5, for example. It's a light card game. It's kind of like War. We talked about it last episode. But it's light enough that there wasn't a big commitment to. It's like, okay, well, I messed up the first round. We'll just play again. And it's no big loss. Where Galileo Galilei is a Euro strategy.
You've been building up to this strategy for
like
several
one mess up
turns.
can really, like I remember you had this thing about Arc Nova where it's like a misunderstanding about a rule. And then it's just like, that's 2 hours where I've been playing it towards something that wasn't what I thought it was, which is a difference then.
And usually I go into most games and just assume the first game is a learning game. So I don't usually care, but it does hurt a little bit more on these longer games because you're like, well, I've screwed myself. I'm definitely not going to win.
Except.
And there's still another hour left.
He's just hustling us, though, whatever.
I just got lucky that I was able to adjust because, but one of the things we talked about and why I picked it is like, I have it and I'm probably going to sell it just because I feel like teaching that mechanic is going to be very cumbersome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Although I would still rate the game really highly and want to play it again.
If it's somebody else's.
Or,
you don't need to own it.
And you can blame them for the teaching.
I don't think I would do a good job teaching it. And I make games.
Well, did you two play in the same game, right?
Yeah.
The same person, Grant Lyon, is a content creator and has been on the show before. He taught me as well in a separate thing. We play it separately, both taught by the same person. And then he's a fantastic game teacher, like one of the best I know. And he was even same thing. He's like, okay, when we get to this part, the Inquisitors, this is going to be weird. This is going to sound funny, and this is not going to make a lot of sense. So he gave me the same warning he gave you guys when he taught me the game. And I'm like, man, it's just so, for me, that part is so abrupt and unlike the rest of the game. I'm like, I wish it just took that all out because I don't think it adds anything to the game. But I love the action selection system and how you can upgrade it.
You can upgrade the wedges.
At the time, I was telling, because I played it first, I remember texting Christina. I'm like, I think you really like this game because it's reminded me of Windmill Valley, which is another different game about collecting tulips. But it also has a system of like these actions get upgraded, and it's exciting to do that. That's really good part of the game. But yeah, I'm with you that an Inquisitor system is just unintuitive and it's weird and it doesn't,
just bogs it down.
Yeah.
So I know they're trying to like balance it, maybe making it more Euro. There's negative things that you have to deal with, but I really wanted to like that game, and there are parts of it that I do like, but it didn't really click as well with me. I prefer Windmill Valley still. So for that sort of upgrading of blades of action.
But tulips aren't nearly as cool as planets.
Yeah, that is really true. That's the problem.
Somebody's watching right now saying, I love flowers. But
tulips are fantastic. There's great history. It's
subjectively, objectively, planets are better than flowers.
We want to also, since you're here with us today, let's talk about some upcoming things from Druid City.
Well, depending on when this airs, like there's a current Kickstarter, and if it's after, the Pledge Manager will still be open.
Well, this should air in 4 days.
Okay, so
I think
the Kickstarter is still going, which is Wonderland's War Duel, which is a standalone 2-player version of Wonderland's War. And then we also have the Caterpillar and White Queen expansion, faction expansion, which also has solo mode and modular forge boards. And variant modes. It's got a bunch of cool stuff in it, and you can do either or both or all that good. We got really good deals for the Kickstarter backers. They get a big discount and some free goodies. So if you like Wonderland's War, there's a lot of good cool content.
Well, yeah. What's the pitch for Duel? What is the cool thing about the 2-player version of this? Because we love Wonderland's War originally.
Well, let's talk about Wonderland's War is a bag building game. It takes place in a kind of Alice Wonderland universe.
And you're playing different characters in charge of your army, taking over Wonderland.
That's right.
Different regions of Wonderland.
You have a bag of chips that will reveal different powers, either to, like, it's area control in the end. But as you're battling for area control, you're going to have fights. But then you, like instead of deck building, where you're getting better cards throughout the game, you're getting better
bag
chips.
Building.
So this is like the basis of Wonderland's War, but then the duel thing, you were telling us we haven't played it yet. We will later today. But you said it's like you boiled down like the best parts of Wonderland's War. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I think the 2-player version of Wonderland's War is totally fine and it's pretty, but it really shines in the chaos of multiple players.
Oh yeah,
right?
That one's hilarious.
And so what we wanted to do is really go back to the drawing board and, like I said, distill it down to a 90-minute, easier to set up, smaller space, faster game that really concentrated on just 1v1. And what that does is in all the mechanics and the space that you're in, the effects that you're building out for the game, you can just really concentrate them on that 1-to-1 interaction as opposed to applying it across a table full of people. And so it feels very familiar that you're doing the same things as far as bag building and all that, but it's tighter. It's more, and there doesn't need to be an automa. There's not a third player. You're not removing an area. So some of the things that people over the years have told us they didn't like about 2 players. We're like, check. And then you're like, let's build a game that is exactly what people want. And I think people are really going to love it because it does have its own feel. You aren't just trying to score points. Now there's allegiance tokens, and there's 5 different factions, and there's some known and unknown information. So as you collect those tokens from the battles and completing quests, I can see maybe Christina's winning outright pretty well against my allotment of tokens in 2 areas. So I focus on the other areas, but I have 7 or 8 face down tokens. So you don't know exactly the amount that I have in each of those factions. So the reveal at the end is really fun and really cool. And there's a lot of room for strategy and tactical choices. So
it's been a fun trend, like where really established games that are great at like higher player counts, they're making like a more focused 2-player, and I've been loving that.
Well, and I get that people are like, I want what I already have to do everything, but that's just not how analog things work, right? Like it's not as easy as a video game to just have a different mode that you click a button and now things have changed. So in the design back end and the development, like when things are more focused on like a solo experience or a 2-player experience, like you can really fine tune it for that experience.
Yeah, I'm like Christina and I don't play a ton of 2-player games, but I think more and more they're creeping into our lives, especially because we've been hanging out with Grant, the aforementioned Grant Lyon, a lot. So we've been playing a lot of 2-player games. I'm curious about this one because I am a big fan of Wonderland's War, but it's a longer game. Like it take you 2-3 hours for a full table, full game because there's a lot of
really fun, and you don't feel it, but it is long.
So I'm excited about
like
what you just said about distilling it down to like what's the best parts of it, and you don't have as many players to interact with, which will save a lot of time on its own. So yeah, really curious.
Yeah,
we'll let you know what we think later today.
Great.
But you're also you have a bunch of stuff coming out, like Madcala just is
delivering. That's right.
To Kickstarters. You want to tell people about that real quick?
I think we're just change the name to Wonderland's War City Games instead of Druid City Games.
Right.
Because it seems like everything we're making is themed in Wonderland's War, but it's really interesting that when we're making some of these designs, we're like, wow, the Wonderland War theme would really bring out the design on this. When Manny, who's the artist for Wonderland's War, but also the designer, him and Aaron Heine, it was a Madcala inspired dueling game. And as we were talking, I was like, if these characters were just the Wonderland's War characters and we called it Madcala, and he's like, Madcala, oh my gosh. And so then we're like, well, now we have to do it. And so Madcala is it's our version of a Magic the Gathering 1v1 kind of like asymmetric type of thing. But it's way more casual, right? Like you can sit down and play it in 15, 20 minutes. You can learn it very quickly. It's very intuitive. And, if you get absolutely boat raced, you can just hop back into another game and reset, so it's pretty cool.
I played one game last night with our friend Dan, and then I was destroying him. I was the Cheshire Cat, and he was Alice. And I was like, you basically, each player has 25 health, and you're trying to reduce the other player to 0 health. I was winning 22-7 at one point, and then he was just like, the look on his face, just like defeat. I was like, let's just get this over with. This is not going well. And then slowly he starts whittling me away. He doesn't heal much, but he's just like hovering right around 7-5 health. And it's like lower and lower and lower. And then eventually he heals a little bit and I'm lower. I'm like, uh-oh, this is going rapidly, really wrong. And then because you can see like we're learning the game because there's like a lot of cool.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. It's like, because it's like if you're not familiar with Madcala, it's like you pick up a bunch of chips and you drop one off around a circle, and wherever you end with, that's the action you have to take. So you have to do a little bit of counting of like, if I move this pile, where's that going to end up with? But if I move this pile, where is that going to end up with? Or if I drop off a chip here, what does that do for that count and all that stuff? So we start strategizing. We're like, ooh, like it's not complex, but there's like, you're just counting. It's not even really mathy. And then it's just like, Dan was coming up with these cool strategies and I had to counter those strategies. And it was like a chess match. We both described it like, this is like a chess match, but simpler than chess. And then at the end, he wins. He's like got the perfect thing to do the exact amount of damage to kill me. And so he had this legendary comeback. It's like the one game we played was just extremely exciting.
Yeah, so now you can never play it again because it'll never match up to that again.
Well, no, now he has to beat Dan. So he's got to play again.
So that's Madcala.
That's Madcala. And then
Off with their heads.
Very soon, we're going to have it's a straight to retail game, not a Kickstarter. I know, different for us, but it'll go on pre-order in a couple weeks. And it is a reveal and write. And so
favorite type of mine.
It kind of feels like trick taking. It's going to have trick taking vibes, but it's not really trick taking because you're you're trying to land in a bucket of either the high, the low, or somewhere in the middle. And on your sheet, depending on the card that you played, you're trying to place that card into one of those 3 sections. So I'm like, this King of Hearts would be perfect if I can make it the low card out of the 4 that are out there, because the suits will rotate on how strong they are. And so you're, maybe hearts are low right now, so maybe I can get this to be the low. Everybody else is trying to go somewhere else. it gets revealed. That's the reveal part. And then I get to place it where it lands. Christina may play the 10 of hearts and bump me to the middle. And I'm like, so there's most and right games I feel like don't have a lot of interaction.
Yeah,
it's
this one has
mostly
a ton. Yeah.
You roll it, you do the thing, but it does feel like spades or a trick taking game where we are interacting on what we've played, and then you place it. And it's a quick 30-minute type of game that I think it incorporates trick taking, a little bit of blackjack, and it's got a poker hand at the end.
Yeah.
Where you're building it for poker. So we really leaned into a lot of the classic card games in all of the inspiration, and I think people are going to really like it. I think it does something different that Anrights don't normally do.
Obviously some of it was inspired by Banner Festival, a previous sort of, was that straight to retail also?
It was.
Yeah. And I recently replayed that with some people who were interested, and had a really good time, because that's also like really fun, where it's not the trick taking you expect. And it's like, I'm going to play this card, but I actually don't want to win, or I'm like aiming to get this very specific thing. But then you layer on the like flip and right situation, and then like I love the combos on there, so it was really fun. Very excited for that one.
And just seeing Manny's art as a deck of playing cards, it's almost worth the price of admission just to get that deck of cards.
You get a full poker set.
You get a whole playing deck of cards with Manny's art all over it in the style, which is chef's kiss.
All right, last question before we move on. Okay. What's next in a Tidal Blades universe?
Tidal Blades, the next thing will be the expansion for Tidal Blades 2. We're going to continue the story past the campaign and go to the next steps. This is, we've built a world and a narrative that we see as like kind of like Avatar, where it kind of goes through its seasons, like if it was on TV. So we're excited to see that story kind of go to its end. And then that'll be kind of it for Tidal Blades for the most part.
Okay.
We're going to go and build new worlds. We like building worlds.
That's true.
It's fun.
And so what is your topic for us today?
The topic is, and this is obviously very prudent and in everybody's radar right now if they're making games, it kind of combos with tariffs. Very unfun conversation, but why making games in the U.S. is difficult, and why we go to China and Poland and some of these other places to make our games, and why they're not made here exclusively.
Because it's like, maybe you're dealing with those comments on your Kickstarter? I don't know.
Well, obviously, again, because of tariffs and the tariff approach, it's kind of wreaked havoc on our industry specifically. That tariffs as a whole may affect other industries differently, right? But for us, for the types of games that I make and a lot of other publishers make, we don't have any resources here in the US to make those games. Like there's not any. If you like miniatures in your games, if you like custom wooden meeples and things like that, like
squishy bits,
we can make card games and cardboard chit things here in the US relatively okay. But the quality is still less because the manufacturing moved out of the U.S.
ages ago,
in the 80s, 90s, and that was a choice we as a U.S. society made. We wanted to invest in technology, and that's worked out really well for us, right? Like we're leaders in some of that, and so all of that stuff moved to other places where they grew their expertise, and we just don't have that expertise here. And
that infrastructure and all of that.
The infrastructure's not there, and the supply chain's not there.
Yeah.
Right? That's the other part. Even if we had a plant that could do it, they would still need to source a lot of those materials, which would still be tariffed. So it's like there's also not currently any sort of plan in place to build up that infrastructure. Like there's no grants, there's no investment. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure how
we'd incentivize that anyway, right?
Can you explain the supply chain part of it more? Because I think when most people talk about why we can't produce games or manufacture games in the U.S., it's a lot of, you hear about the equipment. It's like they don't have the factories to do it. They don't have the expertise to do it. But then if someone says, well, why don't they just buy the machines, right? Why is it not that simple? Because I don't hear about the supply chain part of it so much.
Right. Well, the machines obviously are, they're very expensive. Right. And there's a lot of expertise around running those machines because
maintaining them.
Yeah. Because even with our partners in China, there's some manufacturers that make minis at a much better quality level than others, right? So even within their level of expertise area, there's still different levels of how well it's being done. So then you think about like, how were you the first time you tried doing something? You're probably pretty bad at it, right? So it's not going to be like turn on a light switch that we can do that here. But the supply chain part is like, it gets kind of complicated, but like the wood, a lot of the stuff that we're making is a wood product, right? And the wood that we have within the United States isn't as good as the wood in Canada. It's a stronger, better wood, makes better end result products. Well, that stuff's still tariffed as well, even if we wanted to bring it in, and it would have a cost. So it's not black and white, right? Like it's not an easy choice. And the bigger thing is that we don't have any short-term solutions. So we're just forced to pay the tariff.
Which makes everything more expensive.
Which makes it more expensive. And so we're, every publishers and the manufacturers that we work with are all scrambling to try to make the best solutions possible, which is, just that's what we do as gamers, right? Like we're good at strategy and finding the holes and the loopholes in the rules and the best way to set things up to get the best result. That's why we like making games. So it's like a game in itself.
But not as fun.
Definitely not as fun, and very stressful because it impacts the different lanes of the business in different ways, as far as like retail versus crowdfunding versus what we would call mass, or things that would go to like Barnes and Noble or Walmart or Target. Each of those lanes have their own kind of circumstances, and it's a layer of difficulty that we did not ask for and don't enjoy.
And you're all small businesses, right? So it's really tragic that that's what's happened. There's always that comment on a Kickstarter where you're like, oh, because of tariffs, this is going to happen. And there's always somebody who's like, well, then you should just manufacture here. And then I just remember this one post from this guy who's like, he actually had to shut down his business because he was saying like, I'm going to make games here. And he had no idea what he was doing. And, because he was like, oh, it turns out that it's not as easy as I thought it would have been, because it's not.
The other part of that too is like, we can make some stuff here. When I was at Skybound, we made a lot of some of our card games in Texas. It can be done, but they were 3 to 4 times more expensive, right? So that affects then what we have to sell the game at. And so we all have a kind of a value that we like. You see this box, you instantly have an idea because of its size and how many components that are in it. You think that's a $40 game. So when it's $60 on the shelf, you intuitively, you're like, that feels expensive. That feels overpriced. Well, if we made this game in the US, this would be like an $80 game. And so we can never really fully combat that internal thing that you've got in your head that says,
because we're used to it at this point. And then we're also used to like really high production games. Like the same gamers, a lot of them who are complaining, they also would complain. It was like, oh, this card was so thin, and like things like that, 100%. Right? So
I mean, you go to the Kickstarter comments, you'll see people yelling at me about not making dual layer boards for Wonderland's War, and I'm talking about like it takes up a ton of space. It's very expensive. They warp. You're like, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want my pieces shuffling on the board when I bump the table. And I'm like, I hear you. I know the clickety clacks and the things slotting feel good like Plinko, but at the end of the day, we have to take in all of these considerations to go, what's going to make the product that people still want to buy? And if we try to make games in the US with lower quality, but also cost more, those two things don't interact well, right? Like, wait a minute, you're saying this is going to go up 30, 40% in cost and it's going to go down in quality substantially? Who signs up for that?
Yeah, and certainly not the people who are complaining about it and want you to manufacture in the US. Like, they're not going to buy it in the end, right? They're not going to support. They're not willing to put their wallet where their mouth is, right? So it's like, and I do feel bad when this was all happening earlier this year when all the tariffs stuff started happening. It's like, man, some people out there, like consumers and fans, like they don't understand. Like you're not a giant, like you're not like Apple or a giant video game company or something like that, or an auto manufacturer where you're producing at this scale where it's like, okay, you can play around with this stuff. Like, these are small companies. Like, how many employees do you
There's
have?
3 of us.
Yeah, there's like your whole company is like 3 employees, right?
And I'm one of them. So
yeah, and it's not like you're flush with cash to just like, okay, I can eat some of these profits.
That's right. Cash flow is a we could do a whole podcast on just that. But cash flow is very difficult for board game companies because we have to invest in a product 8 to 12 months in advance when we commit to the amount that we're making, getting it to the places it's got to go, then trying to sell it. And so when you get a tariff that is applied instantly, it's not planned into the future of saying, hey, we're going to apply a 50%
You didn't
tariff
calculate that in
a year. That wasn't built into the P&L, the profit and loss structure of your forecast. So then whatever profit margin you had there, which profit margin is not an evil thing. We have to make money. That's how we pay salaries, but that's also how we reinvest back in more stock. So when you're like, I haven't been able to get this game's been out of stock for forever. It's like, well, if we don't have profit, we can't buy another print run to keep it in stock. Also, we can't keep the lights on. Also, we can't keep making games. So it's very important that those profit and loss forecasts are accurate. And so when a tariff is instantly changed, like a great example of a couple weeks ago when it was announced that it may go up 100% on November 1st, I had 4 containers of restock coming in for Wonderland's War that was going to come in November 4th. That was going to apply almost a $50,000 bill to those containers that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Right. And and the boats were on the water. There's literally nothing I can do. And if you don't pay it, then you actually incur fees for the storage. So like you're forced to pay it. And luckily I was reading the invoice wrong, and that was when it was going to get to the warehouse. Ooh. So it came in before November 1st.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And I was like, but I mean, that's the kind of stress that the whims of changing these rules as you go. It's literally, let me put it in board game terms for you. You're halfway in the middle of playing Art Nova, and
why are you looking at me?
and the rules are changed on you.
The rules were there the whole time.
And you had a system and you had strategies in place to try to score the best that you could, and they're all subverted instantly. And this time it wasn't that you weren't listening. Yes, so we paid very close attention to the forecasts and the tariffs. So,
but you got lucky in this instance.
And a lot of people get
there's no way
very unlucky.
Everyone in the
Yeah,
industry,
yeah.
right?
No, and there's other solutions again because board game publishers adapt, right? And they're like, I'll get a bonded warehouse and store it, which means I don't technically import it until I take it out of the bonded warehouse, so I can wait to see if the tariff goes away. But then those have storage fees, and they're under high demand because not just board gaming, there's other industries that are trying to use those things in tactics as well to see if it goes away. So, it's an undue stressor when it's already like no one in board gaming is driving around in Lamborghinis. So like, we are here because we like it, and we're passionate about making board games. So.
If we do see you in a Lamborghini someday, we're going to call you up. We're like,
well, that's when he's gotten into like organized crime or something.
Yeah.
It's not going to be because of board games.
I'm smuggling board games in for other publishers.
Wait, sorry, bonded warehouses is the first I've heard of this. So they're just sort of like almost like a neutral territory sort of warehouse.
It's probably more complicated than that, but that's as a high level. Yeah, it's like I'm not ready to import this yet, or there's a reason, and you can just kind of hold it there until when you actually pull it out of the warehouse, that's when it's imported. Okay. Therefore, then that's when the fees would be paid.
Do they have to physically sit somewhere to be able to play around those rules like that?
So you got to pay for that storage too, of course.
I mean, like they have to be like international waters or in a different country.
I'm not exactly sure, so I don't want to speak on that. Like that's
what fascinates you.
I've never heard of this before.
I didn't have anything that it made sense to actually like super go deep on the research on that to like see if I needed to do that. So I don't have complete details. Okay. But like our friend Kurt over at Smirk and Dagger, he had to use some of those, I believe, and talked to several services about that when he had a bunch of all my books coming over for
it was
Barnes and Noble.
Because it was the game of the year.
It was a huge order that Barnes and Noble had placed, and so that's where the tariffs just absolutely wreck
all your plans.
A lot of the math behind making board games profitable. So,
oh well. there's no good note to end.
I don't know what to say about that either.
Know,
it really sucks.
Good luck
but I know
to
you guys
and
will
all
be
the other publishers
working as hard as you can to deal with that, and hopefully, it doesn't affect our favorite games too much.
Well, and like
or in a way that we can still support the people we want
Absolutely.
to support.
Even our non-favorites too. We hope it
Just
doesn't
my
impact
favorites.
our favorites.
Okay.
Non-favorites can go
Your
to hell.
favorite too. I'll have that.
And I'm sure there'll be some comments of people who have ideas, and I'm happy to jump in there and try to answer some of those on either why that might work or be worth looking into, or we're already looking into it. It's not that anybody's sitting back and just hoping it gets fixed, right?
Yeah,
like there's a lot of things at play to try to fix it. But there's no stroke of the pen that just fixes the situation, which, I always try to look at it from a side of like, they just don't have the information. That's why they said that. Right? They think you should just make that here and then your problems are solved. But what happens when that's not an option? Right. Now what? So that's not an option. Now what's your next suggestion?
Yeah.
Because if that's your suggestion, why don't you look into it? See if you could do it.
And hey, if you've got the cash, please make us a really competitive factory here in the U.S. I promise we'll use it. Like, it takes a huge amount of time to move things across oceans and things like that. So, like, if you want to make something competitive, like.
We've got a customer right here.
You got a customer right here. Happy to get that quoted.
But you can always follow James. You're available on a lot of socials, right? And what I love about you as a personality and an owner of Druid City is that you are very transparent about a lot of this stuff. So if you do have questions, James is here to answer them. So
that's right.
Where can people follow you?
But ask him nicely.
Yeah, that would be really, really appreciated.
We hear a lot. It's like just the way people come at you. Or I don't know how you put up with it and how you have the patience for it, but. Yeah, try to be nice to when you're asking questions.
I mean, that's just good advice in general, right?
Just try to be nicer.
Be curious, not judgmental.
Yeah, curious.
The easiest and the best place, and I know not everybody uses Discord, but we have a Discord, and things don't get hidden into the social media platforms there. So, like, if you come there's a whole channel, Ask James Anything. So you can ask me any question you want, and I will answer it to the best of my ability. So,
got great cookie recipes too. So
yes. But in the Discord, every game we have has its own channel. So and the community there is great. So if you have a rules question, it's even better than BGG because you can usually get an instant answer from somebody in the community, if not me.
And it's just called Druid City.
It is Druid City Games. Discord is kind of weird, but you can go to the Kickstarter, and there is at the bottom a join Discord, and if you click that button, it has an invite link. So get through there.
Awesome. And it's live still on Kickstarter, so take a look at that right now.
Wonderland's War Duel.
Wonderland's War Duel. You can follow Druid City and his Discord for all the upcoming games also. Thanks to Mike for editing this for us again. As usual, you're awesome. And thank you for listening. Now you can stop listening and go play a game.
Bye.
Bye.